Why does making friends as an adult feel so
What
hard?
should I wear on a first
What the
date?
hell is a form?
But that
Why
hookup
is
was
buying my
not
first
good.
home
What
so
do I want my
frustrating?
life to look like in 5 years?
We want to know too.
Since 2012, The Everygirl has been an online destination to help women around the world achieve the life of their dreams. Now, we're excited to bring you the same inspiring content with the Everygirl podcast.
It's Thursday. Happy end of the week. I don't know if it's my optimism or because I try to not schedule any meetings on Fridays and I work from home, but to me, Thursdays always feel like Fridays. By 5 p.m., I'm like, okay, get me a patio, get me a glass of a nice, crisp, cold rosé. It's like better than the weekend because you have the weekend still ahead of you. You know what I mean? It's why I love Christmas Eve more than Christmas, I guess. I love the anticipation. Anyways, welcome back to Ask the Everygirl, our weekly segment where you submit a question and we give you some advice. Today's question is, any tips for couples to fight in a healthier way? I feel like me and my husband could definitely use some communication tips. Okay, I already know you are going to want to send this to your significant other. Like the old classic, just listen to this episode. That's really interesting. Thought you would like it. I love to give my fiance homework assignments. I feel like it keeps him on his toes. This is a really important topic because the best relationships are not made up of people who never fight. They're made up of people who know how to fight well. On Tuesday's episode even, Dr. Jody Carrington said that according to research, the greatest predictors of couples that make it and couples that don't isn't how much sex you have. It isn't how much money you have. It's not how much alike or different you are. The greatest predictor of couples that make it is your capacity to repair when, not if, things go south. In my 8-year relationship, I have been to a lot of therapy and learned a lot, both the hard and easy way. So I will share some things that I've learned. Now, listen, I am going to be a hypocrite during this episode because a lot of these things I feel like Joey and I have worked on and mastered in our relationship, but there's definitely a lot of times I don't follow my own advice. And sometimes that old fight or flight response just gets the best of you. So I don't want to come at this from like my relationship is perfect. Here's how to make yours more like mine. But more so, this is what I've learned because I've been through it. And here are things that I'm working on too. So the first tip I have for you is the fighting in a relationship golden rule. Care more about what your partner needs than you care about proving you're right. Let me say that again. Care more about what they need than winning the argument. You know how I say that love is a verb, not a feeling? This is where that shows up. It's putting in the effort to empathize with your person, even when it's hard. When we get into fights, we're going into fight or flight. Our cortisol levels are going up. And when that happens, we become self-focused, like focusing on self, meeting our needs. It's our survival mechanism. Practicing empathy for them and how they feel is not only beneficial for productive communication, so you actually solve the problem, but it gets you out of your fight or flight mode. Empathy takes us out of stress, so you don't get into the anger fighting spiral. Because it really is the cliche of it's not you versus them, it's you two versus the problem. You're not fighting each other, you're fighting for each other together. The purpose of fights is not to be right or have an upper hand. The purpose of being in fights with your significant other is so you get to learn how to love each other better, so that you both get your needs met and you learn how to love the other person better. However, this frame only works if you're both showing up with empathy and you both actually care about each other's needs more than just being right. If only one of you cares about the other's feelings while the other just wants to be right, you can't have effective communication. And then obviously the person that is putting in the effort to empathize likely gets steamrolled. So remember this. How your partner responds during an argument matters so much. I think how someone reacts after they've hurt you or made you upset is the biggest indicator of if they're really worthy or not to spend time with. So pay attention to how they act when they know they've hurt you. Do they diminish or gaslight your feelings ever? Do they take accountability? Do they make an effort to understand you? Do they feel genuinely sorry that you are hurt, even when they don't understand your perspective? The bottom line is that you both have to make the effort. It requires work and intention to care more about how the other person feels more than you care about being right. Next, we have got to work on our emotional regulation. And I'm really speaking to a lot of men here. Most fights in our relationship are past wounds. Like it all just comes back to our need to feel loved or heard or supported, or maybe it's coming from trust issues from past relationships. I actually think of our fights like it's like 6-year-old me fighting 6-year-old him. So if you find yourself in a cycle that you can't break out of, maybe it's the same basic fight regurgitated in new ways, therapy for every couple is so important. I look at therapy for couples like I look at it for the individual, that everybody should be doing it. And it's like for prevention or to make a good relationship even better. Like it does not have to be, and actually should not be, just when you're on the verge of a breakup or when you're in a toxic relationship. It is my top priority for us in our relationship to never be in the dynamic where either of us feel like we're in trouble or we're scared of getting in trouble. Every other relationship or even situationship I've been in, it's this dynamic that's either I'm worried about getting in trouble, like, oh, a guy friend showed up to our friend hangout. He's going to get so mad at me when he finds this out. Or I didn't text back or whatever. He's going to be mad at me. And then it would also switch to if they did something, you would obviously be really hurt. But also it's this little feeling of like, yay, I have the upper hand. He gets to grovel after me and try to make up for what he's done wrong. Do you know what I mean? I see this happen a lot in reality TV too. Like if you're watching Summer House right now, I am fascinated by the dynamics. So this guy, Jesse, is just starting to date this girl, Lexi, and he's avoiding telling her about how he got his toe sucked. If you're not watching this, I know that this is going to sound crazy, but he doesn't tell her because he's worried about getting in trouble. And then she gets in trouble. He gets mad at her because she was dancing too much with his friend one night. And there's a little bit of like, thank God I have something over you now. I get the upper hand. Like, this is just so common. And every relationship I have been in the past has felt like that. In this relationship, in my relationship now, I never want either of us to worry about getting in trouble. We put in the effort to operate from a place of respect and freedom that, I mean, first of all, we're not doing shit that would make our partner uncomfortable or upset or hurt. But also, there's no insecurities that come in that would make one of us want the other person to grovel in order to restore that security. Like there's freedom in being able to trust each other, both in loyalty, obviously, but also trust each other in the sense of we don't mean to hurt the other ever. So it doesn't have to be this like, you fucked up, you have to make up for it. I'm not saying we have the perfect communication. I want to make that clear. I mean, we absolutely can bicker. When I'm in a bad mood, it's probably terrifying to Joey. When he's in a bad mood, I call it the teenager where he just gets a little fucking attitude. Like, I'm not saying we have perfect communication all the time or never have problems. We may get into miscommunications or bicker here and there, but our disagreements are never about feeding our own egos or repairing insecurities. It is just about learning more about each other so we know how to love each other better. Like, it does not have to be so intense, I guess is what I'm saying. So work on your emotional regulation, both individually and as a couple. Work on it in therapy. When fights come up, pause and ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Am I looking to feel heard? Am I looking to feel validated? Am I feeling unloved? Am I feeling lonely? There is always a deeper emotion in fights, so try to name that feeling to your partner instead of the surface communication. I'm not feeling heard or understood right now, and it's making me feel bad. I just need to know that you hear and understand me. That one sentence can shift everything. Another thing to keep in mind, no kitchen sinking. This means that when you're in a fight, don't throw in everything but the kitchen sink. You know how it goes. You're arguing about dishes and suddenly it's, oh, and another thing, you never text me back fast enough. And also remember what you did on my birthday 3 years ago. Yeah, we've all done it and we've all received it where in order to prove a point or in an attempt to feel heard, you pile on past grievances instead of staying focused on the actual issue at hand. Spoiler alert, kitchen sinking never helps. Never. It just overwhelms the conversation and turns a solvable issue into a big, messy, emotional avalanche. And it also leads to lack of trust because when you kitchen sink, the other person's thinking, oh, I do this thing that bothers you, but you only communicate that when you're mad at me. What else is bothering you? Or what else are you mad about that you're not telling me? Make sure that you're fighting about one thing at a time. If you're upset about the tone they used this morning, stick to that. Don't stack it with every little annoyance from the last 6 months. And remember that the goal isn't to win an argument. You're not on the debate team. The goal is to solve the problem together. So next time you're tempted to say, and another thing, pause, breathe, and save that for a separate combo. I promise your relationship will thank you. In a similar vein, I think another important reframe that helps me with communication is to always be curious about who they are in this conversation and how they have changed even on a day-to-day basis. Especially when you're together for a long time, you almost expect certain things in fights. Maybe you don't ask how they really feel about something because you think you know what they'll say. Or maybe you project like, you always do this. This is what you always do. So typical. Or I'm not even going to try to say sorry because you never care. Like, we expect certain outcomes or think we know our partners so well that it actually causes us to communicate less effectively. Remaining curious about your significant other is a game changer. I mean, think about it. If you have been with your partner for a long time, like years, when is the last time you asked what their favorite color is or what their favorite movie is? We change all the time as people. But when we're in long-term relationships, we stop being curious about the other person because we think we know them. We think we know the basic things like their favorite color or their favorite movie because we asked those questions when we were getting to know each other. But that was years ago. We have changed so much as people, and that means that they have too. The happiest relationships are where both people have freedom to grow and change into new people. And they stay curious about relearning the other person over and over. This is called the Michelangelo effect, when you give each other the space and freedom to carve out new life and grow into new people. So applying this to fights or communication, stay really curious. Even if you think you already know the answer, still ask them questions. Ask them how they feel about certain things or why they feel the way that they do, why they said the certain thing they said. And don't project past behavior onto the current fight. Like, give them the opportunity to grow and learn from past mistakes or behaviors. Look at every fight or miscommunication or dialogue, whatever you want to call it, as an opportunity to relearn or get to know this latest version of them. Another tip that is, I would say, the hardest one for me is to speak quietly. This is hard for me because I'm just naturally a loud talker. One of the things that has started many fights is when we're at a restaurant and we're just talking normally and my voice is just very loud and Joey tries to get me to lower my octave and it pisses me off to no end. So this one is hard for me, but it's important. There's a parable about a Hindu saint and it goes like this. The saint was walking with his disciples and they saw a family all shouting at each other. So he asks his disciples, why do people who are angry shout at each other? And his disciples were like, well, we lose our cool. We can't remain calm when we're angry. And the saint says, but you're right next to each other. There's no logic in why you would need to shout. And then the disciples guessed some more wrong answers. And eventually the saint said, when you need to shout or yell, it's because your souls are so far apart. The farther apart your souls, the louder you feel like you have to shout. I think about this parable a lot. When I notice myself getting upset and feeling the need to raise my voice, I remind myself that why I want to do that, why I feel the need to do that is because I feel so emotionally distant from my partner. But guess what brings you closer? Whispering or speaking quietly actually brings them closer to you. Like, think about it. Physically, you have to lean in to hear, you have to get closer. When we disagree or we're having a discussion, I want to do everything I can to bring our souls closer together instead of creating greater distance. So when you start noticing that you're starting to raise your voice a little bit, remind yourself that you're doing that because your souls are so far apart right now, but it will only create more distance. Whenever you're disagreeing, try to speak really softly so they have to get physically close to you. Bring them back in. Removing the physical distance helps remove the emotional distance. Seriously, it's some powerful shit. Try it out. And then last thing I'd say is to have like a code word or agreement before getting into fights. When you're really connected and really committed to each other, I think taking pauses can actually really help shift out of fight or flight so that you can get into rest mode and actually solve the problem. Like if things are getting too heated and you know it's turning away from being productive, or depending on your attachment styles and what you need, set an agreement of what works before getting into the fight. For example, I have to communicate right away. Like I cannot focus on anything else if something feels wrong between me and Joey or he did something that makes me mad. I have to talk it out now. But he likes to have time to reflect and get himself out of the fight or flight mode that shuts him down. And also, if we get into a disagreement at night, which some reason that's when our disagreements mostly happen, he cannot function. Like we know that nothing productive is going to come out of this, and it would only escalate because he cannot be his best self when he's tired. But if he were to just walk away or shut down the conversation, it would make me feel unheard and unacknowledged. So we have this agreement where if he needs to pause and come back to it, he gives me a hug and he says something like, I love you. I want to hear you, or I want to talk through this. Can we talk tomorrow, or can you give me an hour so I can show up in a way that is helpful for us? And then we just pause the conversation and come back to it. And it really does a good job of de-escalating. You can also have a code word if you're in a cycle of getting heated and reaching that threshold where it's no longer productive or helpful, or maybe you're just not feeling loved. And in the midst of solving this problem, you just need a little reminder of, okay, we're here, we love each other, we're not going anywhere. It's like having a safe word. And it can be silly, like a line from your favorite movie or like the most random word ever, like anything you can use as a signal to say, okay, we are getting further and further apart emotionally. We just need to take a breath and come back together. Or I just need a quick hug and I need to know you love me. So those are my tips for healthier communication. I want to hear from you. What are the things that you do in your relationship that helps you communicate better or that helped you guys in fights? Let me know in the Apple reviews or comments if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube. And completely unhinged ideas are welcome. This is a judgment-free zone. But let's help each other because healthy communication is not innate. We have to learn it. And most often we've learned the opposite. It's a lot of unlearning too. So let me know your tips and which of my tips work for you or what you want to try in your relationship. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this brought you value, and I will talk to you next week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at The Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.